Welcome to another episode of the Poly Rob Podcast. I am the Council Poly Rob, and I appreciate y'all always tuning in to my YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notifications for all my content. Y'all know what this is. Let's get right back to it. We're not about to waste no time. Now, I've seen something that's happening in the music industry that really always happens in the music industry. There's a lot of complaints of songwriters, singers, contributors to legendary records not getting their just due or feeling like they're not getting their just due. I would just say allegedly because for this particular situation that we're going to cover and also for other situations that I have no initial facts of, I'm going to say allegedly. But it does happen on both sides, and we'll get to that. Everybody's been seeing the interviews from Kevin McCall. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who Kevin McCall is, he is a well-renowned singer-songwriter. He's written some of the best records or co-written some of the best records for like Chris Brown, I believe Tank and a lot of other, artists in the industry. You know what I mean? His work from Deuces, his work from other Chris Brown records. I can't name them all, but we'll just say that's his biggest contribution to, the music culture. You know what I mean? And we've been seeing these interviews of him just telling his story. I don't know what's prompt him to come out and do interviews right now, but he got something to say. It looks like he has something to say. And, anybody that has contributed to greatness, we're going to open our ears and listen and see what's going on. When he gets on Back on Fig, shout out to Back on Fig, shout out to Smack, shout out to everybody on Back on Fig. You know what I'm saying? They be doing their thing. They got good content. And shout out to the whole Fig community world. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to T-Rail. When he gets on there, and I got to be honest, I didn't watch the entire interview. I just really watched the actual clip that they put up, of him being very emotional. Now, before I talk about that situation, let me say this. I've gotten the chance to meet Kevin McCall. He actually came to my studio in Mid-City, LA, a couple of years back. Good dude, good soul. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, he's actually a Q. So there's some of my friends that are Qs that's in a fraternity. Is it fraternity or sorority? I don't know, but y'all put it in the comments and let me know if I'm saying it wrong. But the Qs, you know what I mean? The fraternity, that's the Q dogs. I believe he's a Q dog as well. A lot of my good friends, a lot of my good partners, they're Q dogs, Q dogs as well. So that was dope, meeting Kevin McCall. We got into a little bit of music, not too much, you know what I mean? Because it was already late in the studio session. So we really was having a conversation, just kind of getting acquainted with each other. And then we kind of worked on a couple of things, my business partner, Badru, was there. Shout out to Badru. A1 Crashing was there as well. And we got into a little, I think I still have the files to that session too. But anyway, to me, cool guy. You know what I'm saying? From what I heard about him at that time, he was a cool guy. He do his thing. There were some rumors about, him either being highly intoxicated or taking drugs, but you know me, I don't go by that. Whatever energy you give me firsthand, that's the energy I'm taking. I'm not listening to what the people in the blog say. I'm not listening to what other people say. If I have not experienced it, I don't judge it, just to be honest. So on the Back on Fig interview, he goes into, because, T-Rail asks him about, what happened with him co-writing records for Chris Brown, writing records, doing his thing. And, Kevin McCall proceeds to get a little emotional when he's talking about this topic because, he knows that there's been some things that he feels like was not right in terms of the business goals, and then he also he might have some other personal things going on. So he proceeds to tell the story about how he's not financially well off be because of either mistakes that he made and then also other business mistakes that was made on behalf of either Chris Brown or Chris Brown's team, that's holding him back from getting what he feels like is rightfully deserved. And, he pulls out an EBT card, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, I'm on EBT. Like, I wrote hit records. I shouldn't be on EBT. And to be honest, it kind of hit home, in my opinion, for a lot of creatives that's watching this, that either have seen a situation like this or been a part of a situation where you didn't get your just deserved for your music. And Smack and T-Rails just sitting there looking like they like me. He's really going through it. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because this is not an uncommon thing in the music industry. This is not an uncommon thing. There's hundreds of artists, songwriters that are fighting for their just deserve, whether they have the right to or whether it's true or not. It's totally up to the courts, totally up to the people that's in court trying to figure it out. But for Kevin McCall, it was more so like, he mentioned, he was like, hey, I don't even have the money to fight Chris Brown. Like, he's off making $90 million on a tour, and I don't even have enough to feed myself. I don't have enough to feed my kids. I spent my last, I want to say it's like 200 or 250,000 on my mom getting a house and, paying for, back child support. So, it's difficult. And as he's telling his story, he whips out his EBT card. He just really breaks down, and it's a really emotional moment. If you're a creator, it doesn't have to be music. If you're a creator, if you work so hard to get to a certain situation only to fall off the same mountain that you spent years climbing, it does something to you. It does something to you. Whether it's Kevin's fault or not, or whether he needed to get his business in order or not, it does something to you to work so hard to be in a position that you want to be in and not have all the answers. Let's be clear, and not have all the answers. And then things happen to where you either blow your money, and there's been reports that Kevin McCall has blew or ran through $8 million of his earnings in the music industry. That's a thing. I mean, to common folk that may be like, yo, that 8 million I could have did a lot with. I could live my whole life with that. But for somebody like Kevin McCall that's around these mega stars, that may just be 1 year for him. Who knows? It may not necessarily be bad money management, because if he was making that type of money then, who's to say that he wasn't going to make that type of money now? You know what I mean? It's only up to time. Only time will tell. Very emotional interview. And let's get into Chris Brown's side. So Chris Brown did respond, not in the way people thought he would respond. And I guess some people was giving him backlash. Some people just letting him be. But he responded back, showed a bunch of his cars that he bought. And he deliberately says, I bought this with your money. I bought this with your money. Now, I want to be clear. Chris Brown is trolling. So I've seen some people in the comments say, hey, Kevin McCall can use this video of Chris Brown saying, I bought this with your money. They can use that against him in court. No, they can't. He's trolling. He's making a joke. He's making a joke. I don't think he's really saying that he bought all of those cars with Kevin McCall's actual earnings of what Kevin McCall was supposed to make off the song. He's buying those cars off of the money that he made off his songs. Let's be clear. Come on, man. This is Chris Brown we talk about. But he is trolling. He is being an a-hole. And he's going around his house showing his cars and just keep saying, I bought this with your money. Some people see a problem with that. To be honest with you, I don't, because everyone has their own path in life. You know what I mean? I'll explain. Everyone says Kevin McCall worked hard on those records. Think about the hard work that Chris Brown put in, because he's the one performing it. I'm pretty sure he co-wrote a lot of them. He's coming up with dance routines. He's out there promoting the song. He's doing whatever he can to make the song number one. Not just a record that Kevin McCall has written, also other records that other people have co-written or helped him write. He's putting in the effort to be a megastar, a superstar. He's putting in the work. So you can't show love and give points to somebody who's been hard at hard work writing songs and submitting songs, and not also congratulate or give points to the person who's performing the song, rehearsing, going on tour, promoting the song, doing everything else. Everything else. These are some of the situations where you have to understand that it's not just that one song. It's a plethora of them. You have to continue to keep going. I don't know Chris Brown, and I can't say that I know Kevin McCall. I don't know their lives. But one thing I do know is that we all hit obstacles that maybe it might not work in your favor, and maybe it might work in your favor. But you have to be mindful that some obstacle is coming. Get you the right accountant. Get you the right team around you to know where to invest your money. Don't feel like this moment is going to happen forever. There's so many other things that you can think about, especially when you've made initial money off of the song. Not saying you made all your money. Not saying that you've gotten all your money you deserve. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you do get some money from these records that you write, now you got to start thinking about, what can I do with this money? And listen, I'm the last one to try to go into financial advice, but I will say this. Knowing that the moment won't last forever should be enough energy to say, hey, let me think about what I can do. Let me think about how I can maneuver, because I'm not going to make as much money as the person who's performing the song. But the money that I am making, let me lock that in and let me figure out how I can maneuver to make a lot more by investing my money. Let's figure that out. And I'll let the financial gurus and the hustlers, I'll let them talk about, what to do with your money if you gain it, or what to do when you're losing it. I'll let them talk. That's not my department. My department is how to mentally get back on your feet regardless of somebody not giving you your earnings. Because I know it's hard for Kevin McCall. I know it's hard. I could only imagine. There's been records that I have not got my full credit for. There's been some records where I missed out on a couple of percentages and a couple of points. But I have not been in a position where I'm missing out on thousands or millions of dollars that I should be getting that I didn't get. I haven't been in that situation. And Lord willing, I never become a part of any situation like that. But this is not an uncommon, thing. There's plenty of writers and plenty of singers that go back and forth that, are battling between who's owed what. Especially in these splits, man. These splits, when you're trying to, help on a record, you have to be adamant. You gotta almost be an asshole about your splits. You almost gotta be like, you gotta stay on them until that split sheet is turned in, until the contracts is turned in. You gotta be a hole. Even when the splits is turned in, you gotta keep checking how much we sold, what's my cut of it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Sometimes it's not like, oh, I'm going to just let it rock and just whatever I get is what I get. No, sometimes you got to stay on it, especially if you know that record is finna go crazy. You got to stay on it. That's the part that gets me mad. And it's not nobody's fault. Let me say this. It's not nobody's fault, but this is what gets me mad. When you're in a studio and you're having a good time, you're making records, you're doing what you got to do, y'all all vibing, it's all a great thing, it's all love. You get caught in this warp in time. You get caught up in the lights, the work, the happiness, the smiles, the food coming in left and right, the best food you ever had in your life coming every day. The rental cars, flying out to different places, going to different studios, meeting different people, writing for different people, developing a bond of friendship, meeting a woman or a man, dating, then dating again, then dating again. Y'all know what that is. Just being in this whole warp of time where everything is going the way it's supposed to go for you, at least in the moment. And then what we do is we are so comfortable. We are so trustworthy. We are so in tune with the people around us that we think because we're having a good time making music, that everything else is going to fall the exact same way the good time of making music is. And that's farther from the truth. We're having a good time making music. We're making some fire records. But the problem is, when it gets to the business, this is where things get serious. And not all the time people want to cut each other heads off when it comes to the business, but you have to be firm on what you want to do. Understand what you've done a part of the record. Understand who you're dealing with. Like, really, how do you guys work? What do you guys do? How do you guys do the splits? Do you do the splits before or after? Like, the record comes out. Like, what's the contracts like? Who's your lawyer? Here's my lawyer. There are things when you're dealing with records and artists on that level that have budgets, that have labels behind them, you got to stay on them. I remember one time I had to stay on this one particular manager. I had to stay on him about making sure that those splits was in there correctly and my name was spelled correctly and my company name was in there. I had to stay on him all the way until it was time to release. Because that's what they'll do. We forgot your name. We forgot your IPI number. Oh, we'll just get it on the next run. No, the first 6 to 12 weeks is the most crucial. It's probably going to be the height of the record selling. No, put my splits in there now, right now. You get what I'm saying? These things must be attended to. And not saying that Kevin McCall didn't do that. Not saying Chris Brown did something shady to him. But what I'm saying is these things happen So having constant conversations the same way you call somebody about, hey, how you doing? What you finna go eat? Talk to them about your splits. Make sure that they're on point. And some of your closest friends, some of your closest partners, they forget too. It's not like everybody's trying to do you wrong. It's just that people do forget and you have to remind them. Me, as the, you know, co-administrator for the local astronauts music, along with my business partner, I make sure we have our splits inputted in everything we do. We produce the record over here, splits is on, splits is done. We produce a record over here, splits is done. We do a TV and film record, splits is done. I'm not waiting till the manager do nothing. I'm not waiting till the label do nothing. The splits is already in the system. I don't hear nothing. They gotta call me to tell me, hey, could you let us administer the splits? Because I'll have it ready to go already. That's the music industry, y'all. Kevin McCall is going through, sad to say, but Kevin McCall is going through what a lot of us will eventually go through, and a lot of us have already gone through. Real shit. That's how Jay-Z coined the phrase, I'm overcharging N-words for what they did to the Cold Crush. You know where that comes from? That comes from the story of the Cold Crush not getting their just deserved for what they've done on music. For older artists not getting their rightful percentage and their rightful earnings and royalties from records. Them having to argue down the label or argue down the manager who didn't do the business right. Yes, this is the music industry. It's going to keep happening. So you got to stay sharp. You have to stay sharp. Last thing I'll say before I get out of here. And this is no disrespect to Chris Brown. I don't want this to come off as disrespect. And please, do not try to come after me for saying this. But I have to say it because the music industry it's our baby. It's all of our music is our companion in a sense. So I'll say this. Chris Brown is a legend. He is a legend. He's been in the music industry since he was like 10, 11 years old. He's done a lot for the culture. He's made hit after hit after hit after hit after Grammy after Diamond after hit. But yes, Chris Brown, the legend, Michael Jackson 2.0 in my opinion. Yes, Chris Brown can forget to give somebody their proper splits and royalties too. Chris Brown's team, it's possible that they can forget to pay somebody for a record that they've worked on. Everybody can forget. Everybody can not do something. I'm just saying that. As much as we love Chris Brown, we adore him, I'm still going to listen to his music. It's never going to stop. I still listen to Kevin McCall music. It's still fire. I'm saying Chris Brown can forget to pay somebody too. So I want y'all, when y'all think about this situation, evaluate it from the perspective of whether there's facts or not. Yes, you can have your opinion. My opinion is I hope them two brothers work it out because they've given us some legendary music, and I hope they work it out. But until then, get to the bottom of it and figure it out because they can both be wrong. They can both be right. At the end of the day, we are all fellow brothers and sisters, and we're going to keep working together to make fire music. So let's get the business right so we can all take care of our families. I hope that the next hit record that you make fellow artist, fellow creative, fellow producer, fellow songwriter, I hope the next record that you make not only takes care of you and your family, but takes care of everybody else that was a part of the song that contributed, takes care of them and their family as well. Because that's where the music culture flourishes at its best, at its absolute best. I appreciate y'all for listening. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you think. Do you think that it's just a misunderstanding between Kevin McCall and Chris Brown? Do you feel like Kevin McCall has a point and has a case to go to court with? Do you feel like Chris Brown is right and he should just bask in his glory? Or do you think Chris Brown should reach out and say, hey, man, I got some dollars for you to get back on your feet? Because they were once friends at one point in time. I heard that Young Thug has reached out to Kevin McCall to help him in his time of need. So shout out to Young Thug. If you are doing that, shout out to you. I think that that's dope. You know what I'm saying? And man, let's keep the hip hop culture going. Let's keep the music culture, the R&B culture going for the right reasons. And let's take care of each other, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Leave it in the comments. Let's talk about it, because this is something that I come across a lot. There's a lot of stories going on like this. So let me know in the comments what these artists should be doing to solidify themselves and keep their families going. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all. Y'all know what it is. Workload.